Imagine being laughed at for mopping the floor, by someone who doesn't even know you once stopped a war. If that line pulled you in, stay till the end, because what happens next will remind you that no job defines a person's worth. And if this story touches your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because stories like this one deserve to be heard. It was past midnight at the towering glass building of Orem Global, a billion-dollar corporation in New York City. The city lights outside flickered like restless stars, and inside, silence ruled, except for the soft swish of a mop across the marble floors. The janitor, Daniel Gray, moved quietly, his back slightly bent, his hands weathered yet steady. His uniform was plain, the name tag faded, but there was something different about his eyes, a calmness, a focus, as if he saw the world through a wider lens than most. He was cleaning the executive hallway when he overheard laughter. A group of young executives, freshly promoted, were still there, celebrating, loud and careless. Their leader was Clara Voss, the youngest CEO in the company's history, sharp as a blade and proud of it. "Hey, Mr. Mopman," she called out when she noticed him, her tone playful but edged. "Bet you can't spell diplomacy, can you?" The group burst into laughter. Daniel froze, eyes flickering toward her, then back to the mop. "It's spelled Diploma-cy," he said quietly, his voice even. Clara smirked. "Oh, look, the janitor can spell. Maybe next you'll tell me you're a secret agent." He didn't reply. He just smiled, that strange, knowing smile that unsettled her for a moment, and went back to cleaning. But that night, something about his calmness lingered in her mind. The next morning, chaos broke out. The company's biggest international deal, a multi-billion-dollar merger with a Middle Eastern tech firm, was falling apart. Miscommunication, cultural clashes, mistranslations, everything was collapsing. The negotiators from the foreign side were offended and on the verge of walking out. Clara's board was panicking. "If we lose this, we lose everything," her CFO whispered. Desperate, Clara rushed to the meeting room on the top floor, filled with tension and angry voices. The translators were struggling, the air was thick with frustration. Then, through the glass door, she saw him, Daniel, standing silently with his mop near the corner. It was absurd, but for some reason, she called out to him. "Hey, you, Daniel, right, what are you doing here?" "I was told to clean this floor, ma'am," he said simply. One of the foreign delegates noticed him and suddenly froze. "Mr. Gray," the man said in surprise. "Daniel Gray, from the Geneva Accords." Everyone turned. Clara blinked. "Excuse me, what did you just say?" The delegate stepped forward, shaking Daniel's hand with deep respect. "You were the UN envoy who negotiated the ceasefire in Kurelstan. You saved thousands of lives." Gasps filled the room. Daniel simply nodded. "That was a long time ago," he said softly. Clara's jaw fell open. You worked for the United Nations. For 23 years, he said. Negotiator. Conflict resolution, human rights. But life took a different turn. "Then why are you?" she stammered. He gave a faint smile. "Because peace talks don't always pay the bills. My wife got sick. Insurance didn't cover it. I needed something steady." The room went silent. Even the air felt heavy. One of the Middle Eastern delegates, the same man who'd been shouting moments earlier, spoke up. "Mr. Gray, will you help us finish this negotiation?" Clara looked at him, unsure. Daniel bowed slightly. "Only if Ms. Voss allows it. It's her company, after all." She swallowed her pride and nodded. "Please, help us. For the next 6 hours, Daniel transformed the room. Gone was the quiet janitor, in his place stood a master of words, calm, precise, empathetic. He spoke the delegates' language, literally. Arabic, French, and English rolled off his tongue smoothly. He translated not just words, but intentions, emotions, cultural nuances. He reminded both sides of the human element, why they were building this partnership in the first place. He diffused tensions with wisdom, humor, and patience. He saw through pride and fear like an old friend of both. By evening, what was once a failing deal had become a historic alliance. The delegates shook hands. Smiles replaced scowls. Cameras flashed. Clara stood in the corner, watching the man she had mocked just hours ago. When it was over, she approached him quietly. "Daniel," she said, her voice trembling. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. He looked at her kindly. That's the thing about life, Ms. Voss. You never know what battles someone has already fought, or what peace they've already built. Tears welled up in her eyes. Will you come work for me, not as a janitor, but as a consultant? I mean, someone with your background. He smiled gently. Thank you, but I'm fine here. The floors still need cleaning. And peace comes in many forms. Weeks later, Orem Global became famous not just for its deal, but for its humility story. Clara often told it at conferences, the night she learned that wisdom wears no suit, and greatness sometimes pushes a mop. And Daniel, he kept working quietly, never seeking recognition. But everyone who passed him in that hallway nodded with respect, not to a janitor, but to a man who once negotiated peace for nations, and still brought peace to hearts. Closing line for the viewers. If this story moved you even a little, remember this: never judge someone by the job they have, you might be walking past a hero. Tap that like button, share it with someone who needs a reminder, and subscribe for more stories that prove true worth shines even in silence.